For many foreigners visiting Seoul for the first time, the trash disposal system in South Korea may seem completely new. The strict regulations in separating and disposing trash is only a small reflection of the South Korean government's waste management policies, but it also plays a large role in shaping and further solidifying certain cultural and societal norms specific to South Korea. Today, we invited some international Yonsei GSIS students to talk about their experiences navigating through the South Korean trash disposal system and how these different regulations are different in comparison to their respective home countries.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Jessa. I'm from the United States, and I am a PIC major, and I've lived in Korea on and off for 8 months total.
I'm Leo. I'm originally from Germany, and I've only come to Korea with the start of this semester, and I'm a Korean studies major.
It was a lot of Google Translate, just kind of trying to see like what the Korean phrases were on the trash cans, and really just kind of hoping for the best and just kind of using like rule of thumb of like trash, recyclables, and food waste.
Yeah, I was quite lucky because I have Korean friends here already that helped me with it. So the first time I was staying at the Airbnb, they came down with me and they kind of like showed me which one is which. Like you said, like they told me which words mean what, and yeah.
I didn't think it was too particularly hard. In the States, like food waste doesn't necessarily have its own like recycling or like trash system, so I think that was probably the most difficult of change. But other than that, I felt like it was pretty standard.
I agree. So in Germany, when England where I lived before, their recycling system was very similar. But what I wasn't used to is with the plastic, if you get takeout and such, that you have to wash it. Like it has to be clean before you put it in the bin. I'm just used to people just throwing it, even if there's still some food left on it, you throw it in still in plastic or you throw it in just the normal bin. I hope it is. I'm very much with doing all of that. I do hope that it pays off. I mean, I like the fact that although you still have a lot of plastic packaging and everything, but when you go to a convenience store, they don't automatically give you a plastic bag, which is like you have to ask for it, which I quite like, because when I was living in Thailand, they changed it now, but it was very much they just give you one, and if it's heavier, they put the plastic bag inside a plastic bag. So you just had so much plastic trash that you didn't know how to get rid of, so everyone just had a collection of plastic bags at home that just, were in the cupboard for no use. So I really, really like that you can reduce the plastic you have, or it's not forced onto you. So I hope that just in general, that means also that overall, the way they dispose of the rubbish is also more ethical, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same vein where it's like, I hope it's more environmentally sustainable, especially like just the extra work that we need to put in to separate all the different kinds of trash. But I don't really think it's so much of like the trash disposal system as it like is like other policies that Korea has in place. Like if you go to eat somewhere, if you like ask for takeout, like you have to leave the store, and like if you are in like the like restaurant, they give you all reusable materials to eat your food with. So like it like significantly reduces a lot of waste that way. So where I live now, there is no recycling. You just toss everything in the same trash can and just hope for the best. And so I think the biggest, I guess, culture shock is remembering to like sort through my trash again and like being more diligent about washing the plastics and then taking off like the like tape or other thin plastics because those aren't recyclable and all that jazz.
I lived in Thailand before as well, and there the trash system wasn't as extreme. So I kind of had that image in my head, oh, maybe it's similar around the greater area of Asia. So when I heard about how strict Korea is with the trash system, I was positively surprised, but also very intimidated, especially when you hear the stories like, oh, if you don't separate it right, they're going to put pictures up on you on the wall to like publicly let people know you failed at separating the trash properly. But then on the other hand, what I was surprised with, how strict they are in Germany for the hard plastic for the bottles. They're recycled in a way that you bring them to like a station or like to a machine and they scan them and you get the money back for it. So like people are encouraged through that way to recycle them. And then here they didn't have that, and I was like surprised because they are so strict with it, but then they didn't have that system. Yeah. I think in a collective culture it works very well. In Germany, you couldn't do that. People would protest against it, especially reporting other people, because that was a thing in the past and it wasn't a very positive thing. So as soon as you would impose that on people, people wouldn't accept it. And also people wouldn't care because it's an individual against an individual. But I think here it's a community against you if you don't do it right. There is more power to be exposed as not doing it right. There's more of a consequence for you because you feel publicly shamed when they do that. But yeah, in like Germany, that's an individualistic country. People don't care. So I don't think it would work there, but I think it works here because it's so community focused. I mean, in my house, they have a CCTV pointing at the area where you select your trash. So that adds pressure.
No, yeah, the CCTVs also just add a lot of pressure to, like, do it correctly. The amount of times where I want to be lazy and, like, just kind of put my trash, like, on the side of the apartment, but then I'm like, I know they're watching. So I make the extra, like, 10 yards down to, like, the street and put it with the other trash bags.
I think cleaning, I actually quite like that you have to clean the hard plastic before you throw it away, because it's just, I think it helps with the smell as well, like, because in my building, the trash is right next to the entrance, so obviously if you still had food waste and stuff, like the food waste is outside and the rest of it is inside, so if you still had food waste on the plastic and it starts to get moldy and stuff, I think the smell would be much worse than it is. Like, you can barely smell it. It's really not that bad. And I quite like that you also become more aware of kind of like how to be more sustainable as well. I kind of like it's like very easily enforced on you to just like be more aware as well.
I think something that I do think is really interesting is just like at night, every night, like people, like all the stores will have like just trash bags on the side of the street for like garbage pickup. So I think just more frequent garbage collection may be the solution, or like something that I wish the states would do more often instead of coming like once a week for whatever, maybe coming like a couple times a week. That may help.
Yeah, I like that they actually really like that they have dedicated areas where you have to put your trash. Because something I didn't really think about, it was because I saw someone speak on social media about it, is in bigger cities when they just put the trash out on the road for people with disabilities, it can become really challenging because it is like the only way they can go is blocked for them. And I mean, it is just inconvenient for everyone anyway.
Yeah.
So I really like that there are dedicated spots and it's not just thrown out on the street, kind of literally, which sometimes does happen in Germany as well. People just kind of like chuck it outside.
Yeah.
And you're just like, trash everywhere.
So every state is different. I lived in New York State for a bit, and it also was similar to Germany that like if you like go to like certain areas, you can like dispose of your cans and bottles and get money. And so like I think it'd be a lot of fun just because it's also just kind of fun to like just chuck it in and just see like the tally go up. And so I think that could be just more interesting and like it will incentivize people to be a little bit more diligent with their recycling. It is a little inconvenient just to not really have as many trash cans around. Uh, but also, I don't really think that is something that I'd want, just because even though there's not really that many trash cans around, it's so much cleaner than, say, like New York City or like any other big American city where there's trash cans on every street corner.
I think the only thing is more public bins. Because while you are encouraged to be this clean and like to keep the city clean, sometimes it is just difficult because you have a takeaway cup or something and you want to get on the bus, but they don't let you on the bus with the drink, but also there's no trash can to dispose of it, and you're just kind of stuck because even when the cup is empty, you're not really meant to leave it on the street, but the bus won't let you on, and it's that kind of like, I don't know what to do. Like, I generally don't know what to do. But then I understand why they have so little, but I think just a few more at places like bus stops or bigger stations that you know, oh, if I go to the nearest bus stop, there will be a bin, and that you know where you can go to dispose of your rubbish. The only ones I know on the top of my head are the one on Yonsei, like on the main road in front of uni. That's the ones where if I'm around that area and I have trash, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go quickly there to get rid of it, because I think you would have to be lucky to come across trash cans more on the back roads and stuff.
Really thinking about it, and I was like, I know I have trash, and like I just don't really know what I do with it. Like I have it and then I just forget it. Like I think like if it's small things, I just shove it in my bag because I'm like, oh, I can just toss this at home. Um, but most of the times, like, you find that like I find them a lot in like in like the subway stations. And then a lot of bus stops have them too. Convenience stores also, I'll sneak in and just like chuck them in there, or like buy something so I feel less bad about throwing trash. But if I do have trash like that, usually those are my like go-tos.
Yeah, I think it's still better than just randomly throwing it somewhere.
Yeah, no, like it's only if I see like a bunch of other things. If I'm the first one, no, never. But if it's there, then
I have never seen anyone litter.
I've seen like cigarette butts, but
Yeah, no, I've seen cigarette butts, like kind of when they smoke, they just like drop it on the floor. But I mean like actual trash and just kind of like throwing it on the road. I haven't seen anyone do that.
Yeah, no, litter is not a very big thing here. Like even like if people like will drop something out of their bag, like a receipt or whatever, like they stop and pick it up. Because like in like that was weird for me. Because like in the States, people just kind of look at it and just keep walking, because they don't care. Also, I lived in China for a bit. Same thing in China. Like you just like a lot of like Chinese people just throw their trash because you have like employees that actually come and like clean up this like sidewalks and the streets. So coming here and like just really not having anyone litter. If you have trash that's really inconvenient, they just keep it in their bag or they just hold on to it. So yeah, litter's just not very big.
But then I have to say, when we went to the MT to Gapyeong, I saw a lot of rubbish on the sides actually, like in the nature, and I was like, oh, this is like kind of negatively surprising. It wasn't like a bunch, like it wasn't a mountain of rubbish, but there was like a bag of crisps, like what was just like thrown in there, or like a can or something. Like you could see just like individual things, which compared to Seoul, which I think as well is like a very, very clean city, that just sticks out to you. So from what I could see, it was still, again, compared to Germany or Berlin, it was still nothing that really stood out to me because it's just so much cleaner still than Berlin, for example. So I didn't really... But yeah, I was only there like during the day, so...
I mean, like, it's as good as a very populated large city can get. I feel, like, yeah, there's going to be cigarette butts on the street. Yeah, there's going to be people that don't care. Also, like, thinking of, like, more heavily touristy areas like Hongdae, Myeongdong, I think you're just going to have just a little bit more trash and litter just because you have other foreigners who don't live here and, like, think it's very temporary. So I think comparing like these heavy traffic areas is probably not the best representative of like the trash disposal system in Korea as a whole. But I just think like even though Hongdae and Myeongdong can get kind of gross, it's overall like not as bad as say New York City. America again, very very big country, so I can only say through the states that I've lived in, and even then, like differs by town. Where I live now, there's really not that much litter, but there's trash cans on literally like every like intersection. So if you had trash, you can toss it really easily.
My family lives on the countryside in Germany, so there are not many public bins, but it's like very, very little because everyone just has their home trash bins that's like 5 minutes away or something. And then if you have something really, really big, it's usually, you're not meant to, but people would rather you chuck it into their bin than on the street. But then in Berlin, there are a lot of public bins, but there's also a lot of littering. You have specific places that literally stink because people just throw stuff. They're like empty beer bottles as a common one, like glass bottles and stuff, especially near train stations. Also, one thing that did shock me once was at the old airport in Germany. They had the bin where it was like on the left, it was like food waste, paper, plastic, and I had to wait for a flight or something, I can't remember. And I saw this cleaning lady coming, and she takes up the lid, and it's all one bag. There was no separation inside. I was like, oh, that's interesting. So a little bit of greenwashing going on here. But, so yeah, I don't actually know. Since then, I don't have any trust in the disposable in Berlin, like how they separate it after. But littering is definitely, I think also, especially in the highly trafficked places because of tourists and stuff. And the thing is, when they see that where there is litter, they think it's less bad to litter as well. It's like, oh, it's okay, people get away with it, so they just kind of add onto it. The same with Germans, they do that as well.
Yeah, I was just remembering US highways, and the sides of every US highway is just filled with trash. I don't know if it's because people just like chuck their trash out while they're driving, which is very common, but it's also like, I feel like wind is a big thing, like, you know, I live in Texas, so a lot of pickup trucks, and like sometimes wind will pick it up and just trash will be everywhere. So it's difficult for me to say whether or not like it's intentional littering or if it's just because it was not like the trash just wasn't secured very tightly and it just was blown away.
I think it's harder for tourists because for us, in the worst case, we can take it home, and because we have access to like more, not domestic, that's not the right word, but like to trash at home. But for tourists who do not have that, it can be literally impossible to get rid of trash, and it's like way more challenging, I think. And they are completely dependent on public trash cans, which is why I think it would be beneficial if there are just a few more. I don't think they should be everywhere, because that just kind of takes away from the whole point that you should be more aware of your trash. but just to make it a little bit more accessible as well.
I think it's environmentally sustainable, but in a way that I don't think a lot of people like think of. I mean, for me, I hate being inconvenienced. It's like the smaller it is, the worse it is. And I think I would prefer like to not eat a food that like required me to like have trash if I see there's no trash cans around. So I could be sustainable in the fact it kind of deters people from wanting to spend things that would give them trash because they don't want to carry it. I think it's also kind of like a psychological thing, because I feel like the more trash cans you have, it kind of gives people this idea that like it's okay to just throw out and just like consume more and just create more trash. So I think the more I think about it, like having less trash cans is kind of nicer in that like, yeah, it kind of prevents people from wanting to have a lot of trash on their hands. So maybe they're onto something.
You never see them clean up. It's
It's
like invisible.
It's really late or like early in the morning.
Because sometimes I do at the Iwa bus stop, at the traffic light, I do sometimes see a bunch of cups like lined up during the day. And then I walk there during the night, like in the evening, and it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never seen anyone pick them up. But someone needs to clean, like someone is cleaning them up. But I'm just like, it's like magic.
Yeah, I lived in like that like main Shinton strip area. And so yeah, it's crazy. Just like at night, all of the shops, all the cafes just have like bags of trash just on the side. And then you wake up the next day and they're all gone. Completely clean. And you're like, someone must have come.
Yeah.
But you don't hear them. So you're just like, all right, cool.
I think actually knowing Hangul is so helpful.
Yeah.
Because words like plastic, it's very similar in Korean. You just need to read the word. Or like vinyl, it's like vinyl. And that they are so similar to English that knowing what it says is just helpful, because most of the time they just have the words, they don't have the images, which in Germany they actually do. They have signs for which type of plastic, but here they most of the time just have like silica or plastic. And I think being able to read that is like already the first step. That's like you're halfway there.
Yeah, I mean, if you're visiting, Google Translate it. Like, you just image capture and you get it. And if you really, really don't know, convenience stores, they have it in English.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Or ask someone. Because usually when people see you struggle, they will help you.
Yeah.